Owning your own mind is one of the most important skills you can develop. It means taking full control over your thoughts, feelings, and actions instead of letting outside distractions or doubts run the show. When you truly own your mind, you become stronger, clearer, and more focused in every part of your life. Imagine waking up each day with confidence, knowing exactly where your thoughts are going and how you will handle whatever comes your way. This is possible, but it requires learning how to train your mind step by step. In this video, you will discover practical and simple ways to build mental strength and clarity. You will learn how to take responsibility for your thoughts, how to shut out distractions, and how to replace negative self-talk with powerful beliefs that push you forward. You will see how small daily habits can change your mindset and give you control over your emotions and reactions. These are real, actionable tools, not just ideas, to help you live a life that feels steady and focused. This is not about magic or quick fixes. It's about developing skills that anyone can practice to improve their mindset and gain peace of mind. You'll hear ways to challenge your fears, set clear boundaries, and listen deeply to your own inner voice. You'll learn how to think clearly and act bravely, even when life feels uncertain or tough. Each step is designed to help you build confidence and take charge of your mental space. If you've ever felt overwhelmed, distracted, or stuck in negative thinking, this video is for you. Owning your own mind isn't about having all the answers right away. It's about learning how to guide yourself with calm, courage, and focus every day. Stick with this, and you will find yourself growing stronger from the inside out. Ready to start? Let's dive in and take control together. Chapter 1. Take full responsibility for every thought you think. The most powerful decision you will ever make is this: to take full responsibility for every thought you think. It's not glamorous and it won't happen overnight, but this one shift changes everything. The moment you stop blaming the world, your past, or your circumstances for the state of your mind, you begin to own your life. Most people go through their days reacting to everything. They wake up and absorb the thoughts of others. They scroll through endless information, listen to noise, and never stop to question whether what they're thinking actually belongs to them. They accept fear without examination. They carry anger as if it was assigned to them. They believe they have no choice. But you do. You've always had a choice. You just didn't know it. The mind is not something that you simply live with. It is something you must train, examine, and take full control of. And the first step to owning your mind is realizing that every thought you think, whether helpful or harmful, is your responsibility. That doesn't mean you chose to be hurt in the past or that you asked for pain, but it does mean that what you think now and how you think about what happened is in your hands. This isn't about guilt or blame. This is about ownership. And ownership gives you power. If you believe your thoughts are automatic, you will never feel strong. If you think you cannot change your perspective, you'll stay stuck. But once you understand that thoughts are tools, not truths, you begin to regain control. You start questioning. You become aware. You begin to notice the loop that plays in your mind when you make a mistake or face a challenge. You hear yourself say things like, "I always fail," or "I'm not good enough," or "nothing ever works for me." And when you hear those words, you pause. You ask, who put that there? Was that something I learned or something I decided? Does this thought help me? Or does it keep me small? This is not about pretending, it's about choosing. You don't have to think perfect thoughts. You don't have to lie to yourself. You just need to decide that your thoughts are your job. If a thought brings you down, you don't blame the world, you correct it. So how do you start? You start by becoming brutally honest about what's going on in your head. You listen. You pay attention to how you speak to yourself. You write things down. You sit with your thoughts in silence, without distraction. You face the noise, the doubts, the criticism, the fear, and instead of pushing it away or hiding from it, you take responsibility for it. You say, "This is mine, and I will change it." You stop outsourcing your mental state. You stop expecting other people to fix what you refuse to face. You stop blaming your parents, your childhood, your boss, your past, or your partner. You take ownership of the only thing you ever truly had control over, your own mind. At first, it feels uncomfortable. It's easier to stay in blame. It's easier to believe your thoughts are just happening to you. But there's no strength in that. There's no freedom. Real freedom is knowing that you don't have to believe everything you think. Ownership means you are no longer at war with yourself. You don't need to fight your thoughts. You just need to direct them. You train your mind like you would train a muscle. You practice. You fall short sometimes, but you don't give up. Every day, you recommit. Every day, you take responsibility again. Because this isn't a one-time decision. It's a lifetime practice. You begin to notice your triggers. You catch the moment your mind wants to spiral into fear or anger or hopelessness. You slow down. You ask, what is really true here? You separate facts from emotions. You take a breath. You respond instead of reacting. You remember that your mind is your tool, not your enemy. You don't let your thoughts bully you. You don't let them control your mood, your choices, your day. You take your power back. That power starts with awareness. You can't change what you refuse to see, so you build the habit of self-awareness. You build it through journaling, through quiet reflection, through honest conversation with yourself. And with time you begin to see patterns. You recognize that your mind was shaped by past experiences, but it can be reshaped through conscious repetition. You notice that the more you take responsibility for your thoughts, the less power they have over you. You stop being the victim of your thinking, and you become the author of it. This is how self-respect is built. Not through empty motivation, but through discipline. You wake up each day with a choice to repeat the old thoughts that keep you stuck, or to practice the new thoughts that set you free. And even if those new thoughts feel unfamiliar, even if they don't fully feel true yet, you repeat them anyway. Not because you're lying to yourself, but because you're creating a new truth. One built on ownership, not excuses. One based on strength, not fear. Taking responsibility for your mind also means taking responsibility for what you consume. Your environment matters. The people you talk to matter. The content you watch matters. Every input becomes a seed, and you must decide what you are willing to allow into your garden. You don't casually absorb anything. You filter. You protect your peace. You become intentional, because you understand now that your mind is your life, and what you allow in becomes what you live out. This is not about controlling everything. It's about controlling what you can. You can't control what other people say, but you can control what you believe. You can't stop challenges from coming, but you can stop them from taking over your thoughts. You can choose to see everything as either a lesson or a weight. You can choose growth over comfort. You can choose purpose over excuses. And you can choose to lead your mind instead of being led by it. No one can do this work for you. And that's the good news. Because it means no one can take it away from you either. Your mind is your responsibility, and that is your freedom. That is your strength. That is your peace. The person who owns their mind cannot be manipulated. They cannot be shaken by opinion. They cannot be controlled by fear, because they know who they are, They know what they believe, and they know how to return to their center when the world tries to pull them away from it. This is the work, and it is worth it. Because once you learn to take full responsibility for every thought you think, you stop chasing life. You begin to shape it. You begin to live it on your terms. Not perfectly, but powerfully. Not without struggle, but with intention. You become a person who does not wait for permission to grow. You become someone who acts from strength, not reaction. You think clearly, you live fully, and you move forward with quiet conviction. This is not motivation. This is truth. This is discipline. This is the path to peace. It begins with a choice. A simple, powerful, life-changing choice to take full responsibility for every thought you think. That is how you own your own mind. And once you own your mind, everything else begins to change. Chapter 2. Train your focus to stay where you choose. Focus is a skill, not a gift. It isn't something you either have or don't have, it's something you train. If you want to live a clear, purpose-driven life, you need to train your focus to stay exactly where you choose. In a world that constantly demands your attention, the ability to control your focus is no longer optional, it's essential. Most people don't realize that their attention is being pulled in every direction because they've never stopped to question how often their mind wanders or how easily they become distracted. But if you want to take control of your life, you must start with where your focus goes, because where your focus goes, your energy follows, and where your energy flows, your life begins to take shape. Every time you check your phone without intention, every time you interrupt yourself for no reason, every time you jump from one task to another without finishing anything, you weaken your focus. Not just in that moment, but over time. Focus is like a muscle, and every distraction is a decision to let it grow weaker. You don't need more time. You need more intention with the time you already have. When you focus deeply on one thing at a time, you finish faster, you perform better, and you feel more satisfied. But this doesn't happen by accident. It happens because you made a decision to stop letting the outside world dictate where your mind goes. You are not obligated to follow every notification. You don't have to react to every sound, message, or headline. You don't owe your attention to anything that doesn't move you forward. When you begin to train your focus, you realize how much of your day is spent in reaction. You respond to things that don't matter. You scroll without meaning. You switch from one thought to another without finishing either. And at the end of the day, you feel tired, not from doing too much, but from being pulled in too many directions. That's mental exhaustion. That's the cost of untrained focus. Focus is not about doing more. It's about doing what matters without interruption. It means choosing what to ignore. It means saying no to distractions, not because they're bad, but because they don't belong in your current moment. You take your power back when you decide that your focus is your own. You protect it like your time, your energy, and your peace, because it is all three. You stop multitasking. You stop jumping from one thing to the next. You stop allowing your mind to drift wherever it wants. You start deciding where it stays. You choose one task, one purpose, one conversation, and you stay with it fully until it's complete. You build this skill through discipline. You set clear blocks of time to work on specific things. You remove what doesn't belong. You don't leave your focus to chance. You turn off what isn't necessary. You create a space where your mind can work clearly. You work with depth instead of distraction. You stay until you're done, not because it feels good, but because it builds strength. The longer you stay focused, the stronger your mind becomes. You build endurance. You start to enjoy the feeling of being immersed in a task. You begin to feel more present and alive in everything you do. Most people want clarity, but live in chaos. They want peace, but allow noise. They want progress, but chase stimulation. If you want a life of purpose, you have to fight for your focus. You have to train it, like a warrior trains for battle. You practice every day. You don't wait for motivation. You commit to depth, even when it's uncomfortable. Especially when it's uncomfortable. Because every time you stay focused, when your mind wants to wander, you win. And every win compounds. Soon you begin to notice something powerful. You are no longer easily distracted. You don't need to check everything. You don't crave every update. You feel calm inside your own mind. You become someone who finishes things, someone who follows through, someone who respects their time and mental energy. There is a cost to distraction, and most people pay it without thinking. They wonder why they feel anxious, overwhelmed, and unfulfilled. But if they looked closely, they'd see that they've trained their mind to scatter. They've taught themselves to live in fragments. That's not a focus problem, that's a habits problem. You don't break that cycle with willpower alone, you break it by building a better system. One where your environment supports your focus. One where your decisions reflect your priorities. One where your time is protected and used with intention. You don't need perfect conditions. You need better decisions. You need to decide that your focus is not up for negotiation. When you sit down to work, work. When you rest, rest. When you listen, listen fully. When you plan, plan with clarity. Stop blending everything together. Stop living in a state of half attention. It's not just unproductive, it's exhausting. You don't need to be everywhere at once. You just need to be exactly where you are. Fully. Completely. Without apology. That is power. That is peace. Focus gives you back control over your time, your emotions, and your goals. It sharpens your mind. It strengthens your will. It makes your life feel more meaningful because you're no longer scattered. You're intentional. And being intentional is how you build a life you respect. You don't get there by chance. You get there by repeated choices to do one thing at a time, with everything you have, without running from it. And the more you practice, the more it becomes your nature. Not because it's easy, but because it's worth it. You may feel restless at first. You may want to break focus just to feel something new. That's normal. You've spent years training your brain to chase stimulation. But just because your mind craves something doesn't mean you feed it. You recognize the impulse, and you don't obey it. You stay, you finish. You give yourself to the task, not because it feels good, but because it makes you stronger. And soon, you find that real satisfaction comes not from jumping between things, but from the quiet power of sustained attention. Training your focus also sharpens your self-awareness. You begin to notice when your mind slips. You notice the thoughts that pull you off course. You catch yourself when you drift into overthinking or unproductive patterns. You bring yourself back. That's the discipline. Not perfection returning. Not staying focused for hours, but learning how to return to your focus again and again without frustration. That return is where growth happens. Every time you come back to the task, you're teaching your mind, I lead, not you. When you can focus at will, you become unstoppable. Not because you're faster or smarter than others, but because you finish, because you stay when others quit. Because you build a mind that doesn't need constant stimulation to feel alive. You build a mind that is sharp, calm, and ready for anything. That's not just productivity, that's strength. That's leadership. That's mastery of self. The more you focus with purpose, the more control you feel. You stop drifting. You stop rushing. You start choosing. And the more you choose where your focus goes, the more your life starts to match your values. It becomes simpler, clearer, more fulfilling. You begin to move with intention instead of reacting out of habit. You start seeing progress in places where you used to see chaos. You experience peace in places where you used to feel pressure. That shift doesn't come from outside, it comes from within, from your decision to train your focus, to stay exactly where you choose. That decision, practiced every day, will change your mind, and changing your mind will change your life. Chapter 3. Replace negative self-talk with honest, powerful beliefs. What you say to yourself shapes how you live. The words running through your mind each day form the lens through which you see yourself, your challenges, and your potential. Most people don't realize how often they speak to themselves with judgment, limitation, and doubt. It becomes a pattern so familiar that it feels normal. But normal doesn't mean helpful. And if the thoughts in your head are tearing you down, they are not facts. They are habits. If you want to live with strength and clarity, you must replace the negative self-talk that weakens you with honest beliefs that build you. This isn't about pretending everything is fine. It's about refusing to accept lies that keep you small. You weren't born speaking to yourself with negativity. Somewhere along the way, you picked it up. Maybe it came from criticism, disappointment, comparison, or failure. Maybe you believed someone else's words more than your own truth. Over time, those thoughts became automatic. They whispered that you weren't good enough, that you were behind, that you always mess things up, that you'll never change, and because they repeated often, they started to feel real. But repetition is not proof. It's just a signal of what has been practiced. If you can practice tearing yourself down, you can also practice lifting yourself up with truth, with power, with belief. Changing your self-talk starts with awareness. You cannot shift what you don't notice. Begin by listening to yourself. Really listen. Pay attention to the thoughts that show up when you make a mistake, when things feel uncertain, when you're tired, or when you're about to try something new. That's when the old scripts appear. They sound like warnings, but they're really just old conditioning. Catch the moments when you speak to yourself in ways you would never speak to someone you care about. Recognize that just because a thought shows up doesn't mean it belongs to you or that you have to agree with it. The goal is not to silence every negative thought. That's not realistic. The goal is to stop giving those thoughts the final say. You do that by confronting them with honesty. If a thought tells you that you're worthless, ask yourself if that's really true. Look at the evidence, challenge the generalizations. Speak to yourself like a responsible friend would, not with sugarcoating, but with grounded strength. Tell yourself what is true. Remind yourself of what you've come through. Talk about your mistakes as something to learn from, not something to attach shame to. Describe your efforts with respect, not sarcasm. Name your progress, even if it's slow. Honest self-talk is not about inflating your ego. It's about refusing to shrink. It's about building beliefs that support your growth and reflect your values. You don't need to tell yourself you're the best or that everything will work perfectly. You just need to remind yourself that you are capable, resilient, and willing to keep going. You need to stop rehearsing failure and start rehearsing persistence. Speak the kind of thoughts that create strength, not fear. The truth is that you can't build a strong life on weak thinking, and negative self-talk is weak thinking. It pretends to be realistic, but it only leads to hesitation and avoidance. The longer you listen to it, the more you become it. Replacing those thoughts takes repetition. You don't fix your self-talk in one day. You catch the patterns, and you rewire them through practice. You write new phrases. You speak new beliefs. You put power into your words, even if they feel unfamiliar. When your mind says, "I can't," you respond with, "I'm learning." When it says, "I always fail," you answer with, "I've grown from every setback." When it says, "I'm not enough," you hold your ground and say, "I am worthy of growth, effort, and peace." These are not motivational phrases. These are anchors. You choose them because they stabilize you when your thinking wants to spiral. This is a discipline. You train your inner voice to support your goals instead of sabotaging them. You do it through reflection, through writing, through saying the words out loud. And as those new thoughts take root, you begin to carry yourself differently. You stop waiting for proof to believe in yourself. You stop needing validation to move forward. You stop letting one bad moment define your entire self-worth, because your mind now works for you, not against you. You don't need to be perfect to deserve better thoughts. You don't need to have everything figured out. What you need is to stand guard at the door of your mind and refuse to allow any voice to live there rent-free if it weakens your character, even if that voice is your own, especially if it's your own. You're not just the thinker of your thoughts. You are the one who decides which thoughts are worth keeping. That choice is where change begins. This work doesn't make you arrogant. It makes you responsible. You begin to treat your internal world with the same care you give to things that matter. You stop entertaining thoughts that tear you apart. You start choosing words that reflect strength, clarity, and calm. You don't do this to avoid pain. You do it so you can walk through pain with dignity. So you can face pressure without collapsing. So you can keep going when life asks more from you than you expected. You don't need to create a fake version of confidence. What you need is truth. Real belief is not loud. It's consistent. It's built from repeated reminders that you are allowed to grow, to evolve, to try again. It's built from actions that align with your values. Every time you act with integrity, you give your mind more truth to work with. That's how powerful beliefs are formed. Not from fantasy, but from consistency. This also means you stop apologizing for your growth. You don't minimize yourself to fit others' expectations. You don't pretend to be confused when you're really just afraid. You speak clearly. You act with self-respect, and when doubt shows up, you don't fight it. You acknowledge it, then move anyway. The voice of doubt may visit, but it no longer gets to drive. You are in charge now. Your beliefs are not made by accident. They are built with discipline. You begin to treat your mind like a home. You clean out the lies. You organize your priorities. You fill it with thoughts that bring strength and peace. You decorate it with truth. You keep it quiet when needed and full of direction when it matters. And you protect it, not with walls, but with clarity. You know what thoughts serve you, and you know what thoughts belong in the past. As your beliefs become stronger, your life becomes simpler. You stop second-guessing everything. You stop carrying the weight of self-judgment into every conversation. You become present. You become patient. You become focused. Not because everything around you changed, but because the way you talk to yourself finally did. You are not fragile. You are not broken. You are not behind. You are someone in progress. Someone who is learning. Someone who is aware. And with that awareness, you get to shape the way you speak to yourself each day. Not with perfection, but with strength. Not with false positivity, but with steady truth. Your self-talk is either a weapon or a tool. It either keeps you in fear or pulls you toward courage. and you decide which it will be. Not once, but every day, with every thought, with every belief, with every word you allow to repeat in your mind. You take control. You speak powerfully. You stand in your truth. And from that place, you move forward, stronger, clearer, and more fully yourself. Chapter 4. Discipline your mind to reject useless distractions. Your mind does not stay sharp by accident. It becomes strong when you train it to resist what does not serve it. Distraction is not just about lost time, it's about lost direction. Every moment spent on something meaningless is a moment stolen from what matters. And in a world full of noise, your ability to reject useless distractions is a form of personal power. It is a sign that you are serious about your life, serious about your goals, and serious about protecting your attention. If your mind is constantly chasing what's easy, comfortable, or entertaining, you will never build the discipline needed to stay grounded, focused, and in control of your path. You cannot expect clarity while living in chaos. You cannot ask for deep thinking if you feed your mind shallow input all day. Every distraction you allow is a decision you make. It doesn't just happen to you, it is something you permit. The way forward is simple, but not easy. You must become more selective with your attention. You must stop being available to everything and everyone. You must understand that not all noise is worth hearing. Not every message deserves a reply, and not every invitation should be accepted. If you do not decide what matters most, everything will start to feel equally urgent, and none of it will be meaningful. To discipline your mind, you first need to become aware of what pulls you away. What are the things that constantly interrupt your focus? What do you run to when you feel discomfort, boredom, or uncertainty? What activities give you the illusion of productivity but leave you feeling empty? These are the distractions that must be questioned, not judged, just questioned. Why do you keep returning to them? What are they protecting you from? Often, distraction is a way to avoid being still. It's a way to escape responsibility. It's a way to keep yourself busy so you don't have to face what really needs your attention. When you recognize this pattern, you regain your power. Because what you can see, you can change. Rejecting useless distractions is not about becoming cold or robotic. It's about being clear. It's about refusing to waste your mental energy on things that drain your strength and give you nothing in return. It's about not allowing your day to be dictated by impulse. This kind of discipline is quiet, but it is deeply powerful. It builds over time, and with each choice, you create a stronger boundary around your focus. You learn to delay what is unnecessary in favor of what moves you forward. You choose presence over passivity. You choose purpose over habit. This practice begins the moment you wake up. Before you reach for your phone, decide how you want your mind to feel. Before you check anything external, check in with your own thoughts. You set the tone. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to be intentional. Your morning sets the standard for the rest of your day, and if you allow distractions to enter early, you will be fighting to regain control for hours. But if you begin with clarity, you carry that mindset into everything else. Throughout your day, guard your mental space like something valuable, because it is. Learn to close the tabs that no longer need your attention. Learn to finish one thing before moving to another. Learn to pause before switching from task to task. These are small habits, but they form the structure that protects your deeper work. They create the mental environment where true thinking happens. You can't expect deep focus to appear in a life that is constantly scattered. Structure invites clarity, and structure is built through discipline. You also need to challenge the belief that distraction is harmless. It's not. Every time you allow your attention to be pulled away without a clear reason, you're weakening your ability to think deeply. You're teaching your brain that boredom must be escaped, that silence must be filled, and that discomfort must be avoided. But growth comes through the opposite. Growth happens when you stay with the discomfort, when you sit with silence. When you resist the urge to numb your mind, that's when clarity comes. That's when ideas form. That's when you begin to hear your own thoughts, not just echoes from the outside world. You will never feel fully focused if you live in a state of constant stimulation. Your mind needs space to settle. You need gaps in your day to think. You need to feel bored. Sometimes these are not problems, they are opportunities. Use them. Instead of picking up your phone the moment you feel restless, take a breath. Look around. Stay present. Instead of checking messages every 5 minutes, decide when you will respond. Instead of scrolling to fill time, sit with the urge and let it pass. Every time you do this, you are training your mind. You are showing yourself that you do not need to follow every impulse. You are showing yourself that you are capable of self-control. You don't need to eliminate all distractions at once. You need to become stronger than the ones that show up most often. Start small. Turn off one notification. Delete one app. Shorten your time on entertainment. Say no to one low-value request. Create a space where your mind can breathe. Build a few moments in your day where you are unreachable. Not because you're avoiding life, but because you are choosing to engage with it more fully. When you give yourself to one task with complete focus, you feel something most people rarely feel. Peace, not from escape, but from alignment. Over time, your resistance to distraction becomes your strength. You begin to crave depth. You begin to enjoy silence. You begin to feel calm even when the world feels loud. That's because you are no longer being controlled by every outside influence. You are no longer reacting to everything around you. You are making choices, and those choices give your mind the stability it needs to stay sharp, steady, and resilient. You will always have access to distraction. The question is whether you will keep giving it your attention. You can always come back to shallow input, but you can never get back the time and energy it takes from your best work. Discipline is not about limitation. It is about freedom. When you say no to what doesn't matter, you say yes to what does. You create room for focus, for growth, for clarity. You give your best energy to the things that build your future, not the things that steal it. If you want to live with strength, you must think with strength, and strong thinking cannot coexist with weak habits. The world will keep offering you distractions. Your mind will keep inventing excuses. But you decide who is in control. You decide how you spend your time. You decide whether you give in to the pull of noise or stand firm in your own direction. That decision, made again and again, creates discipline, and discipline creates peace. This kind of peace is not found by doing less. It is found by doing what matters without interruption. You do not chase every thought. You do not answer every noise. You build a quiet space inside yourself that says, I know what I'm doing, and I will not be moved. That is the strength of a disciplined mind. That is the clarity of someone who is no longer willing to waste their time. That is the mindset of someone who has rejected distraction and chosen focus fully, freely, and without regret. Chapter 5. Challenge every fear until it loses control. Fear is not meant to be obeyed. It's meant to be understood, challenged, and eventually defeated. Most of the fear that controls people never comes from danger. It comes from thoughts that were never questioned, stories that were never corrected, and experiences that were never processed. When you leave fear unchallenged, it grows roots in your life. It starts dictating how far you go, what you try, who you become, and how you see yourself. But the truth is, fear has no real power until you give it permission to lead. You were not born to live small, quiet, and uncertain just because fear shows up. You were born with the ability to override it. But that ability must be activated by courage, and courage is built through action, not just hope. When you allow fear to go unchecked, it begins making decisions for you. It tells you to wait. It tells you to hold back. It tells you you're not ready, not qualified, not strong enough. And if you listen long enough, it convinces you that playing it safe is wisdom. But nothing extraordinary is built in safety. Every breakthrough begins on the other side of discomfort. The people who move forward are not fearless. They're just unwilling to be paralyzed by fear any longer. They feel the hesitation, and they move anyway. They feel the uncertainty, and they decide anyway. Because they understand that fear is a signal, not a stop sign. If you want to take back your power, you have to stop protecting your fears. You have to stop defending your limits. You must turn and face what you've been avoiding. You must bring it into the open, name it, and challenge it. Ask yourself, what exactly am I afraid will happen? Then take it further. What if that fear came true? Could you survive it? Could you learn from it? Could you recover? Most of the time, the answer is yes. But your fear never lets you get that far. It whispers catastrophe. It paints the worst-case scenario and convinces you that you're not equipped to handle it. But you are. You always were. You just haven't been forced to prove it yet. Avoidance feeds fear. Exposure starves it. The more you step toward what makes you nervous, the more you teach your mind that fear does not equal danger. You prove, through experience, that the story was scarier than the reality. And once you collect enough of those moments, your brain starts building a new reference point. It begins to see fear as a challenge to grow through, not a command to retreat. You gain self-respect, you build trust in your ability to respond, and that's the moment fear begins to lose control over you. Not because it disappears, but because it no longer owns your choices. There is no courage without the presence of fear. But courage is not something you wait for. It's something you generate, moment by moment. Every time you walk into an uncomfortable situation, you're collecting evidence that you are stronger than you thought, that you are more capable than you believed. And that feeling becomes addictive, because once you feel what it's like to overcome something that once intimidated you, you begin to crave more of that expansion. You no longer settle for a life shaped by limitation. You begin shaping your life with intention. Fear thrives in silence. It grows stronger when it goes unspoken. That's why you need to bring it into the light. Write it down. Say it out loud. Discuss it with someone who won't feed it. Strip it of its mystery. Most fears shrink when they're seen clearly, but if you leave them vague and undefined, they'll keep appearing larger than they really are. Don't just live with fear as if it's normal. It may be common, but it's not meant to be permanent. You have a right to peace, but peace is not found in the absence of fear. It's found in the refusal to bow to it. Your future depends on your willingness to be uncomfortable now. Growth demands risk. Change requires uncertainty, and fear will always rise when you're at the edge of something new. That's not a problem. It's a sign you're alive. It's a sign you care. But let it be fuel, not offense. Let it motivate clarity, not avoidance. Let it drive you to prepare, not withdraw. You can't avoid every fear, but you can become the kind of person who does not back down in the face of it. That's who you were always meant to be. Sometimes fear shows up as doubt, sometimes as overthinking, sometimes as procrastination. But at its root, it's the same mechanism trying to keep you safe by keeping you small. And you have to decide if you're willing to trade growth for comfort. You have to decide if your dream matters more than your nerves. You have to decide every day whether fear gets to decide your future. Because every time you give it the final say, you give up another piece of your potential. You do not need to wait until you're fearless. You only need to act while fear is present. Do it with the tight chest. Do it with the shaking hands. Do it with the uncertain voice. Because on the other side of that fear is a version of you that you haven't met yet. A version of you that is stronger, clearer, more resilient, more confident. And the only way to meet that version is to walk through what scares you. Not once, but again and again, until your fear gets tired of trying to stop you, until your mind catches up with your power, until you stop reacting and start responding. Every time you choose courage over comfort, you build a mind that works for you, not against you. You create mental proof that you're no longer a servant to your emotions. You train your brain to associate challenge with growth, not threat, and over time, that becomes your new default. Fear may still knock, but it won't get inside, because now you know how to answer it. Now you've seen what happens when you move anyway, and now you believe, at a deeper level, that you can face whatever comes. You are not given a mind just to survive. You are given a mind to overcome, to analyze, to adapt, to create new outcomes. That is your superpower. But it only works when you stop letting fear run your internal dialogue. You must lead your thoughts instead of letting your thoughts lead you. You must become someone who investigates fear like a scientist, not someone who accepts it like a prisoner. Because the more you challenge it, the more you realize how little power it ever had. Fear may be loud, but it is not truth. Fear may be persistent, but it is not permanent. You have outgrown the version of you that needed to be protected from everything. Now you must become the version of you that protects your vision from fear. Let fear feel uncomfortable. Let it rise. Let it scream, but do not let it guide your hand. Because the moment you stop giving it control, everything changes. You stop shrinking. You stop hesitating. You stop delaying the life you want to live, and you begin living as someone who chooses growth, even when it's hard, especially when it's hard. That's how you take your power back. That's how you build a life on your terms. That's how you stop fear from deciding who you get to be. Chapter 6. Create a strong daily routine that sharpens clarity. Clarity is not something you stumble upon by chance. It is built through repetition, structure, and conscious choices. A strong routine is not just a checklist of tasks, it's a mental training ground. It conditions your focus, shapes your energy, and teaches your mind to work with precision instead of chaos. If your days begin with confusion, your mind will remain cloudy. If your hours are spent reacting instead of leading, your clarity will slip away before noon. The only way to stay mentally sharp in a world full of noise is to deliberately design a rhythm that serves your vision. You don't rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the strength of your systems, and your daily routine is the most powerful system you will ever build. A sharp mind is not the result of motivation, it's the product of daily consistency. Waiting until you feel ready will keep you distracted. Hoping for a breakthrough without structure will keep you spinning in circles. But the moment you create a routine that clears your path, your thoughts begin to organize themselves. You stop wasting time figuring out what to do next. You stop waking up in mental fog. You stop letting your emotions control your day. Instead, you begin to lead with discipline. You begin to train your brain to expect clarity, not confusion. The power of a strong routine lies in its ability to reduce unnecessary decision-making. Every time you wake up with no structure, you exhaust your mental energy on small, avoidable choices. What should I do first? Should I check my phone? Should I scroll for a while? Should I skip the workout? All of these micro-decisions chip away at your mental clarity. But when your routine is firm, those questions disappear. You don't waste time choosing. You already know. That mental freedom becomes fuel for focus, direction, and clarity throughout the rest of the day. A powerful day starts the night before. Sleep is not a luxury, it's a foundation. And when you treat it with the respect it deserves, you wake up with the energy required to move with purpose. Clarity suffers in exhaustion. You can't think straight when your body is depleted, so your routine must begin by protecting your rest, not as an afterthought, but as a priority. When your sleep is strong, your morning can be strong. And when your morning is intentional, your mind becomes easier to guide. The first hour of your day sets the tone for everything that follows. If you begin in chaos, your mind mirrors that. If you begin with direction, your thoughts align with that. You don't need a perfect morning routine. You just need one that is consistent and clear. Maybe you start with breathwork. Maybe you journal. Maybe you move your body. Maybe you speak your intentions out loud. Whatever the steps are, they should exist to center you, not entertain you. Your mind craves a signal that it's time to lead, not scroll. Time to build, not react. And your routine delivers that signal every single day. If you build it well, when your day has clear anchors, your mind doesn't wander as much. If you know when you work, when you rest, when you eat, when you train, and when you pause, your focus improves. You don't need to question what you should be doing. You just need to follow through. That's where clarity is born. In the absence of indecision. The more you simplify your structure, the easier it is to stay present. And the more present you are, the sharper your perception becomes. Distractions lose their grip. Doubts become quieter. Tasks get completed instead of carried. That's not accidental. It's intentional design. Clarity isn't about having all the answers. It's about knowing what matters most today. Your routine should remind you of that. Before your mind gets hijacked by noise, your structure should ground you in direction. A clear routine eliminates the excuse of "I didn't know where to start." It removes the trap of waiting for motivation. It builds momentum through small but intentional actions, repeated until they become second nature. You stop negotiating with yourself. You just begin. And that beginning changes everything. One of the most underrated benefits of a daily routine is emotional stability. When your days are unpredictable, your emotions become harder to manage. But when your routine holds steady, your emotional responses become more balanced. You start to build resilience. Because you're not always scrambling, you start to feel anchored, even when life feels chaotic. That sense of internal control is what allows you to think clearly under pressure. You don't collapse at the first sign of stress. You return to your rhythm. You adjust without losing your footing. That's what a strong routine gives you, a reliable foundation, no matter the circumstances. Clarity grows in the soil of discipline. You can't expect a clear mind while living in scattered habits. Every shortcut, every skipped step, every abandoned plan adds clutter to your mental space. But every completed task, every repeated habit, every quiet moment of intention sharpens your focus like a blade. You begin to see opportunities instead of distractions. You begin to sense when something is off before it pulls you off course. You don't waste hours recovering from poor decisions. You make fewer poor decisions to begin with. Structure is not meant to limit you. It's meant to free you. When you know what your day looks like, you're free to be fully engaged in the moment. You don't need to carry the weight of wondering if you're doing enough. You already decided. You already committed. And that commitment gives you clarity. You don't chase productivity. You walk into it. You don't scramble for time. You've already claimed it. This is the mindset that allows you to lead your life instead of reacting to it. No one else can build your routine for you. It must reflect your goals, your values, your priorities. It doesn't need to look impressive. It needs to work. It needs to support your mind, your energy, your growth. And once you find the rhythm that works, protect it. Let nothing interrupt it unless absolutely necessary. Don't let urgent distractions steal from what is essential. Because the strength of your clarity is directly tied to the strength of your routine. You cannot think clearly while living reactively. You cannot lead your life while surrendering to randomness. The mind performs best under structure. It learns faster, works deeper, and sees further when you give it consistent space to operate. That's what a powerful routine creates. Space for greatness to unfold. Space for silence to guide you. Space for effort to transform you. This is how you become sharper. Not once, not sometimes, but daily. You stop letting the day decide your state. You begin deciding it yourself through structure, through habit, through intention. You do it tired. You do it early. You do it even when no one sees, because clarity is not something you hope for. It's something you build brick by brick, day after day, until it becomes who you are. Chapter 7. Build mental toughness by doing hard things daily. Comfort weakens the mind. It softens your edge, dulls your instincts, and lulls you into habits that shrink your potential. If you want to develop a mindset that can handle anything, you must deliberately place yourself in situations that test your will. Mental toughness is not inherited, it is earned. It doesn't come from reading about hard things or watching others endure. It comes from doing the work yourself. From choosing discomfort on purpose. From taking the harder path every day until your brain stops flinching at pressure and starts demanding growth. The difference between someone who breaks down under stress and someone who remains unshaken isn't talent, background, or luck. It's conditioning. When you regularly face challenges that stretch your limits, your mind learns to stop resisting pain. It becomes familiar with pressure. It recognizes fear without obeying it. That familiarity is where power begins. Because once your mind knows it can survive discomfort, it stops retreating every time life demands more from you. Doing hard things daily doesn't mean torturing yourself. It means removing the option of choosing the easy way out. It means building discipline into your identity. That could be waking up earlier than you want to, training your body when you're tired, finishing what you said you would, even when you've lost interest, speaking the truth instead of avoiding conflict, pushing yourself past boredom instead of quitting when results don't come fast. These acts may seem small, but they form the core of resilience, because toughness is not about feeling strong, it's about refusing to quit when you don't. You don't become mentally tough by waiting for a crisis to teach you. You become tough by creating the pressure before life does. When you push yourself on purpose, the world's pressure feels lighter. Most people wait until they're forced to adapt. But if you make adversity part of your daily routine, it stops controlling you. It becomes a familiar training partner, not a threat. The repetition of hard choices builds psychological armor. You begin to trust your own strength. You begin to act without hesitation. You stop being afraid of effort, judgment, or setbacks. Mental weakness thrives on excuses. It justifies comfort. It protects ego. It rejects discomfort. The only way to kill that weakness is through direct action. When you do something difficult every single day, you remove the space where weakness hides. You force your mind to confront the truth. That growth hurts. That comfort lies. That strength requires sacrifice. You stop talking about change and start proving it. You start collecting experiences that no one can take from you. That proof becomes your power. You don't need to feel confident. You've already shown yourself what you're made of. You won't always be motivated. That's exactly why hard things must become non-negotiable. Discipline must be stronger than your feelings. If your effort depends on mood, you will never build mental toughness. You must learn to act without negotiating with yourself. Set a standard and meet it. Show up even when you're not at your best. Lean into the resistance, because every time you do something you didn't want to do, you teach your brain that comfort doesn't make the rules you do. The mind becomes stronger in struggle, and the struggle doesn't need to be dramatic. It just needs to be real. Maybe it's resisting the urge to quit early. Maybe it's holding your focus when distractions surround you. Maybe it's staying calm when your patience is tested. Whatever it is, you must learn to step into that discomfort with purpose. Not as punishment, but as training. The more often you practice it, the faster you recover from setbacks. You stop overthinking. You stop freezing. You take the next step without needing permission or praise. The world rewards those who can stay composed under pressure. And that composure only comes through repeated exposure to difficulty. If your days are too easy, your mind becomes fragile. It overreacts. It panics. It exaggerates problems. But if you're used to doing hard things, you don't collapse when things go wrong. You adjust. You respond with strength instead of fear. You act instead of complain. That is the real value of mental toughness. It allows you to move forward when others freeze. You don't need to feel ready to begin. You need to begin to feel ready. Action shapes belief. And consistent effort in hard places builds identity. When you show up and face what's uncomfortable, you build proof that you're capable. You stop needing to feel brave. You act brave, and the feeling follows. Each small win becomes a foundation for bigger challenges. Each difficult task completed becomes a reminder that you're more powerful than you thought. Building mental toughness is not about showing off. It's not about pretending to be invincible. It's about becoming reliable. Reliable under pressure. Reliable when it matters. Reliable even when conditions aren't perfect. That reliability is rare, and it's respected. People trust the ones who do the hard things when no one is watching. People follow those who move forward without needing ideal conditions. And most importantly, you begin to trust yourself. That internal trust is unshakable because you've earned it through action. There will always be an easier option. It will whisper to you in the morning. It will tempt you in moments of fatigue. It will disguise itself as rest, as peace, as self-care, but you'll know the truth. You'll know when you're choosing growth and when you're choosing escape, and the more you train your mind through discomfort, the easier it becomes to make the right choice. Not because it feels good, but because you've built the habit of choosing challenge over comfort. Your greatest strength will not come from moments of comfort. It will come from your ability to show up when it's hard, to keep going when motivation dies, to push forward when no one is cheering. Every day is an opportunity to build that strength. Not someday, not when you feel inspired. Now, today, you build mental toughness by doing what's hard, again and again, until it becomes who you are. You don't need the perfect plan. You don't need ideal timing. You need to act. Choose one thing today that challenges you. Do it on purpose. Face the resistance. Stay with the discomfort until it no longer controls you. Repeat tomorrow. Keep going the next day. Over time, the pain becomes growth. The struggle becomes fuel, and your mind becomes unshakable because you've built it on the foundation of daily discipline, earned effort, and chosen difficulty. That's how you become unstoppable. Chapter 8. Detach from opinions that weaken your self-worth. Not every opinion deserves your attention, and not every voice deserves a seat in your mind. The faster you realize this, the more peace you'll begin to feel. There comes a point in life where protecting your self-worth becomes more important than explaining yourself to people who don't even understand themselves. Most of the voices that criticize you aren't really about you. They're projections of someone else's insecurities, fears, or failures. And if you let those projections shape how you see yourself, you'll always be chasing someone else's definition of who you're supposed to be. You don't need to convince anyone of your value. You don't need permission to believe in yourself. You don't need validation to move forward. The opinions that make you feel small only have power when you accept them as truth. But they are not truth. They are noise. And when you learn to step back from that noise, you begin to hear your own voice again. That voice, the one within you, is the only one that truly matters, because it's the only one that sees everything you've survived. It's the only one that knows what you're working toward, and it's the only one that will still be with you when everyone else disappears. Some people will misunderstand you no matter how clearly you speak. Others will judge you even if you do everything right. You could live your life trying to satisfy every expectation, and someone will still find a reason to tear you down. This is not a sign that you're failing. It's a sign that external approval is a broken standard. The moment you start detaching from opinions that weaken your spirit, you create space to rise above them. You stop shrinking to fit in. You stop bending to be liked. You stop apologizing for being yourself. Your self-worth isn't built on compliments, and it shouldn't collapse under criticism. If your confidence only exists when people praise you, then it was never real confidence. It was dependency. Real self-worth is unshaken by noise. It is steady, quiet, rooted in self-respect. And self-respect means refusing to hand your power to people who haven't earned your trust. If someone's words make you question your value, stop giving their voice access to your identity. Their opinion is not a mirror, it is a reflection of their own mind, not yours. Most people who try to make you feel less aren't strong themselves. They seek power in putting others down. They mask their own doubt by highlighting your flaws, and if you believe them, you give them exactly what they want. Control. But when you detach, when you say, "I don't accept that," you break the cycle. You protect your mind. You keep your worth intact. You begin to see opinions as clouds. They pass, they change, and none of them define the sky itself. Not everyone will understand your growth. Some will mock it. Some will resist it. Some will try to guilt you for it. But that's not your problem to solve. You don't owe explanations to people who haven't done the work you've done. You don't need to be understood by those who are committed to misunderstanding you. And you definitely don't need to hold yourself back just to keep others comfortable. Your life is not a stage for someone else's judgment. It's your path to walk, your mission to fulfill, your peace to protect. Let go of the need to be liked. Let go of the desire to fit into places that never felt right. Let go of the pressure to explain yourself to people who aren't listening. The more energy you spend managing other people's opinions, the less you have left for your own growth, and what you focus on grows. So if you want to grow into someone strong, grounded, and confident, then focus on the opinions that build you, not the ones that tear you down. And even then, don't depend on any opinion. Build your inner knowing so strong that outside approval becomes irrelevant. You don't need to be loud to be powerful. Sometimes, the most powerful thing you can do is stay calm while someone else tries to provoke you. Walk away without needing the last word. Hold your peace while others chase attention. That's real strength. That's real self-worth. It's knowing that you're not here to please crowds. You're here to honor your values. And if someone doesn't see your worth, that doesn't mean it's not there. It means they weren't meant to see it. Train yourself to pause before reacting. Not every criticism deserves a response. Not every insult needs a comeback. Silence can be louder than argument. Walking away can be more powerful than defending. Detachment is not weakness. It's wisdom. It's refusing to give your mental space to things that don't serve you. It's knowing the difference between feedback and manipulation, between guidance and gaslighting, between helpful truth and harmful judgment. You don't rise by being agreeable. You rise by standing firm in who you are. Even when people doubt you, even when they mock you, even when they walk away, because you were never supposed to build your worth on unstable ground. People will come and go, their opinions will shift with the wind, but your identity, if built on integrity, will stay. So protect it, guard it, nurture it, speak kindly to yourself when others don't. Stand tall when others try to cut you down. Keep your head up when they want you small. There will be days when their voices feel louder than yours. On those days, remind yourself, they don't know your heart. They don't know your vision. They don't know what it took to become who you are. And they don't have the right to define what you're becoming. You are not what they say. You are what you choose to believe. And every time you choose belief over doubt, truth over noise, growth over shame, you win. Not for them, for you. You were not born to carry everyone's opinion. You were born to live with clarity, to walk with purpose, to feel free inside your own skin. That kind of freedom only comes when you stop letting weak opinions shape a strong identity. You don't need everyone's applause, just your own. You don't need their permission to feel proud. You only need to know you're doing your best, that you're being honest with yourself, that you're improving, growing, healing, moving. Every opinion that tries to make you forget your worth is a test. And every time you detach, instead of absorb, you pass, you rise, you take another step toward a life that is yours, not shaped by judgment, not filtered by fear, not held hostage by outside voices. A life that reflects your truth, a life that feels like freedom, and that begins when you finally say, I am not here to be defined, I am here to define myself. Chapter 9. Develop emotional control by mastering your reactions. Emotional control isn't about becoming cold or detached. It's about learning how to respond with strength instead of reacting from impulse. When you don't master your reactions, your emotions master you. And when emotions are in control, clarity disappears. You say things you regret. You make decisions that sabotage your growth. You let temporary feelings create permanent damage. That's the cost of being reactive. That's the price of letting every trigger pull you out of alignment. But when you step back, breathe, and choose your response, everything begins to change. Most of the time, the emotion isn't the problem. It's what we do with it. Anger isn't weakness, but exploding in anger without thought is. Sadness isn't failure, but drowning in it without reaching for perspective is. Fear isn't a flaw, but letting it dictate your choices. Your feelings are signals, not instructions. They're meant to be noticed, not obeyed blindly. When you learn to pause before you act, you give yourself the power to choose a better outcome. You gain the ability to remain grounded when everything around you feels unstable. There is nothing more powerful than staying calm in a moment of chaos. It doesn't mean you're emotionless. It means you've trained your mind to stay steady under pressure. You've disciplined yourself to not give every emotion the driver's seat. That doesn't come naturally. It takes practice, it takes patience, but the reward is peace. The reward is confidence. The reward is knowing that no one can pull you off course just because they want a reaction. You are no longer a puppet to people's provocations. You are in control now. That control begins with awareness. Before you can master your reactions, you must notice them. You must become the observer of your own habits. Watch how you respond when someone criticizes you. Watch what happens inside you when plans don't go your way. Track the moments where you lash out, shut down, or escape into distractions. Don't judge yourself, just pay attention, because you can't improve what you refuse to face. And facing it honestly is the first act of power. It's where emotional control starts, not with perfection, but with truth. Once you see the pattern, you can change the pattern. You can interrupt the old reflex and insert a new choice. You can breathe instead of lash out. You can walk away instead of argue. You can reflect instead of react. And every time you do that, you're training your nervous system to stay balanced under stress. You're rewiring your mind to delay gratification in favor of long-term strength. You're becoming someone who doesn't crumble under pressure, but calmly carries the moment with dignity. Mastering your reactions doesn't mean ignoring your feelings. It means responding from your values, not your moods. It means aligning your behavior with who you want to be, not with what someone else just triggered in you. If someone disrespects you, you don't need to return the favor. You can stand firm without shouting. You can set boundaries without being harsh. You can say no without guilt. The more emotionally grounded you become, the less you feel the need to prove anything to anyone. You stop reacting to gain approval or to defend your ego. You act based on clarity, not chaos. This kind of discipline requires you to slow down. Most emotional mistakes happen in speed. You feel hurt and speak immediately. You get frustrated and storm out. You get offended and fire back. But when you slow down, just for a moment, you create space between the feeling and the action. And in that space, there's freedom. The freedom to choose a better response. The freedom to ask, is this reaction helping or hurting me? The freedom to protect your peace instead of chasing temporary relief. People will test your emotions. Life will surprise you with unfair moments. There will be triggers, frustrations, and stress. You can't always control what happens, but you can control how you carry it. You can train your mind to hold the tension without becoming it, to feel the emotion without being overtaken by it. That is strength. That is maturity, and it is a skill. Not something you're born with, but something you develop through reflection, through practice, through the decision to rise above old patterns. There's a difference between letting things slide and consciously choosing your response. Emotional control is not about suppressing what you feel. It's about channeling it wisely. When you feel disrespected, acknowledge it, but ask yourself what kind of person you want to be in that moment. When you feel anxious, admit it, but ask yourself whether acting from that anxiety will bring relief or regret. Emotional control means knowing that not everything that feels urgent is actually important. It's being able to see beyond the emotion and act from a deeper understanding. You don't need to react just because something stirred you. You don't need to explain yourself every time someone misunderstands. You don't need to fight battles that aren't worth your time. The moment you stop letting every emotional wave knock you over, you start building the kind of inner stability most people never reach. That stability is quiet but unshakable. It keeps you grounded in storms. It helps you hold conversations without aggression. It teaches you how to be powerful without needing to dominate. That's real leadership. That's real emotional strength. Developing emotional control doesn't mean you'll never feel triggered again. It means you'll recognize the trigger without letting it dictate your behavior. It means you'll learn to delay your response long enough to see clearly. It means you'll stop outsourcing your peace to other people's words or actions, because you'll understand that your peace is your responsibility. No one else can give it to you, and no one else should have the power to take it away. This kind of control makes you resilient. It helps you handle criticism without collapse. It allows you to face conflict with grace. It empowers you to keep moving when everything feels personal. You start responding with intention, not insecurity. You don't let your emotions control your voice, your decisions, or your relationships. You become someone who knows how to feel deeply without falling apart. And the more you master your reactions, the more you free yourself, because emotional control isn't about resisting emotions. It's about rising above the need to be ruled by them. It's about choosing peace over drama, direction over distraction, purpose over reaction. That's what turns ordinary people into extraordinary individuals. That's what creates real power, the kind that's silent, steady, and undeniable. Chapter 10. Guard your peace by setting clear mental boundaries. Your peace is your most valuable possession. It is the calm center that allows your mind to think clearly, your heart to stay steady, and your life to move forward with purpose. But peace is not something you find outside of yourself. It is something you protect inside of yourself. Without boundaries, peace becomes fragile. It is easily shattered by chaos, criticism, or intrusion. Setting clear mental boundaries is how you guard that peace. It is how you say no to what drains you and yes to what nurtures you. It is how you keep your inner world safe in an often unpredictable and noisy external environment. A mental boundary is not a wall to isolate yourself. It is a fence that defines your space. It tells others what you will accept and what you won't. It tells you where your responsibility ends and where theirs begins. Without these boundaries, you allow other people's opinions, emotions, and demands to invade your mind. You become a container for their stress, doubts, and negativity. That is a recipe for exhaustion and confusion. But when you set boundaries, you reclaim your space. You decide what influences you and what stays outside. You protect your energy so it can be used for growth, clarity, and action. Most people don't set mental boundaries because they fear rejection or conflict. They worry about disappointing others or being seen as selfish. But the truth is, boundaries are not selfish. They are necessary. They are a form of self-respect. They are a way to communicate your needs clearly without blame or anger. When you set a boundary, you are not punishing anyone. You are simply taking care of yourself. And when you take care of yourself, you become stronger, calmer, and more capable of helping others without losing yourself. Setting mental boundaries starts with awareness. You need to recognize when your peace is being threatened. When you feel overwhelmed, drained, or anxious after interacting with someone or something, that is a signal. Pay attention to the moments that leave you feeling unsettled. Ask yourself why. What crossed the line? Was it a conversation that turned negative? Was it constant interruptions? Was it taking on responsibilities that aren't yours? Identifying these triggers helps you understand where your boundaries need to be stronger. Once you know what disturbs your peace, you can begin to say no without guilt. Saying no is not a rejection of the other person, it is a protection of your inner world. You don't owe long explanations or apologies. A simple and firm no is enough. You have the right to refuse mental clutter, toxic conversations, and unnecessary drama. You don't have to engage in every argument or absorb every complaint. You get to choose what deserves your attention and what doesn't. Guarding your peace also means limiting exposure to harmful inputs. This includes news, social media, and even certain environments. Constant negativity wears down the mind. It breaks your focus and clouds your judgment. Protect your mental space by choosing carefully what you consume. Turn off notifications. Avoid gossip. Skip the drama. Surround yourself with voices and information that inspire, educate, and uplift you. Your mind needs rest and nourishment, just like your body. Mental boundaries extend to your own thoughts as well. Negative self-talk and rumination can invade your peace faster than anything external. When you catch yourself spinning in worry or doubt, pause and redirect your mind. Challenge those thoughts. Replace them with truthful, empowering beliefs. Train your brain to recognize when it's crossing into harmful territory. You are the gatekeeper of your mind, and you have the power to decide which thoughts are allowed in and which are sent away. Clear boundaries also protect your time and energy. When you say yes to everything, you say no to your priorities. When you don't guard your time, you become busy without progress. Setting limits on how much you give to others, how often you work, and how much downtime you allow yourself is essential. Your peace flourishes when your schedule reflects your values. When you honor your commitments to yourself, you become more effective, more focused, and less overwhelmed. Boundaries also improve your relationships. When you communicate clearly what you need and won't accept, others learn to respect you more. Boundaries create space for honest and healthy connections. They prevent resentment and burnout. People feel safer when they know where they stand with you, and you feel safer because you are not constantly compromising your well-being to please others. It's normal to feel uncomfortable when setting new boundaries. Change challenges habits, and people may test your limits, but discomfort is temporary. The peace you gain is permanent. Stand firm. Remind yourself that protecting your peace is not optional. It's essential for living a meaningful, focused, and joyful life. Every time you honor a boundary, you build confidence. You teach your mind that your well-being matters more than pleasing others or avoiding conflict. Mental boundaries are not fixed walls. They are flexible fences that grow stronger with practice. They require ongoing attention and adjustment. Life changes, people change, and so do your needs. Regularly check in with yourself. Notice where you feel drained or overwhelmed and strengthen your boundaries there. Celebrate the moments when you choose peace over chaos. Every boundary you reinforce is a step toward mastering your own mind. Your mind deserves sanctuary, a place free from unnecessary noise and pressure. When you guard your peace by setting clear mental boundaries, you create that sanctuary. You allow yourself to focus on what truly matters. You become the leader of your thoughts, emotions, and actions, instead of a victim of circumstance. Peace is not a passive state. It is an active choice. Protect it fiercely, nurture it daily, and watch how your life transforms from confusion into clarity. Chapter 11. Choose thoughts that align with your highest goals. Every thought you choose plants a seed for the future you are creating. Your mind is like fertile soil, and the thoughts you allow to grow will shape your actions, habits, and ultimately your destiny. When you select thoughts that align with your highest goals, you direct your energy toward meaningful progress. When your thoughts wander to doubt, fear, or distraction, you scatter your energy and slow down your journey. The power to choose which thoughts take root belongs entirely to you, and exercising that power is one of the most crucial habits for mastering your own mind. Choosing thoughts aligned with your goals requires clarity about what those goals are. Without clear vision, your mind drifts aimlessly, accepting any idea that comes along. But when you define what truly matters to you, what you want to build, become, and contribute, your thoughts gain direction. You start noticing which thoughts fuel your growth and which ones drain your focus. This awareness is the foundation of deliberate thinking. It's the difference reacting to every random impulse and consciously selecting the ideas that serve your purpose. Your mind will naturally generate thousands of thoughts each day, many of which come uninvited. Some will be encouraging, while others are critical or irrelevant. The key is not to eliminate negative or stray thoughts completely, because that's impossible, but to develop the habit of redirecting your attention quickly to those that support your goals. When you catch a thought that doubts your ability, doubts your worth, or questions your commitment, pause and ask yourself, does this thought help me move forward? If the answer is no, choose to replace it with something more constructive. Replacing thoughts is not about ignoring reality or pretending everything is perfect. It's about choosing beliefs that empower rather than weaken. For example, instead of thinking, "I'm not ready for this challenge," choose, "I am capable of learning what I need to succeed." Instead of dwelling on past failures, shift to every setback is a lesson guiding me to improvement. These choices transform your mental environment into one where progress thrives. They reshape your internal dialogue into a source of strength, not sabotage. Practicing this mental discipline takes time and patience. Your mind is used to running on autopilot, recycling the same old beliefs and fears. That autopilot mode is comfortable but unproductive. Interrupting it means becoming more mindful of your thoughts throughout the day. You can set reminders to check in with yourself or journal about the thoughts dominating your mind. The goal is to build awareness so you catch the mental habits before they take control. The more you practice, the faster you will retrain your brain to lean toward thoughts that fuel your ambitions. Intentional thinking influences your behavior more than you realize. Thoughts shape your emotions, which influence your decisions and actions. When your mind consistently dwells on your goals, your emotions align with motivation and confidence. This emotional alignment drives you to take persistent, focused steps. On the other hand, if your thoughts are scattered or self-defeating, you'll feel anxious, overwhelmed, or stuck. Understanding this connection is crucial, because it reveals that changing your thoughts isn't superficial. It changes how you feel and act in the world. Your environment plays a role in the thoughts you choose. Surrounding yourself with people who believe in your potential and who focus on growth creates a positive feedback loop. Positive influences reinforce aligned thoughts, while negative ones can pull you back into doubt and distraction. Be intentional about what and who you allow into your mental space. This includes the media you consume, the conversations you engage in, and the internal stories you replay. Protecting your mind from harmful influences supports your ability to choose constructive thoughts. When you face setbacks or obstacles, The quality of your thoughts determines how you respond. Aligning your thoughts with your goals doesn't mean you won't feel frustration or disappointment. It means you won't get stuck there. You'll acknowledge the difficulty, but maintain belief in your capacity to overcome it. Instead of giving up, you'll think, "This is part of the process," and keep moving forward. That mindset is what separates those who persist from those who quit when things get tough. You can also strengthen this habit by visualizing your highest goals regularly. Spend time imagining what it feels like to achieve what you want. Picture the details vividly and allow yourself to experience the emotions connected to that success. This practice programs your mind to hold those aligned thoughts more naturally. It primes your brain to recognize opportunities and solutions rather than obstacles and excuses. Visualization is not wishful thinking. It's a mental rehearsal that strengthens your commitment and focus. The words you speak to yourself also matter greatly. Self-talk is a powerful vehicle for chosen thoughts. Speaking affirmations aligned with your goals, stating your intentions clearly, and reminding yourself of your strengths reinforce positive thinking. When you verbalize your commitment, you anchor those thoughts deeper into your mind. This spoken reinforcement helps override the internal critic and brings your conscious desires into clearer focus. Discipline in thought selection is a daily practice, not a one-time fix. Your mind will constantly invite old doubts and fears back in. When this happens, meet them with patience and persistence. Acknowledge the thought, then gently redirect your focus to what supports your goals. Over time, the pull of negative thinking weakens, and the habit of positive, aligned thought strengthens. You become someone who naturally leans toward clarity, purpose, and confidence. Choosing thoughts that align with your highest goals creates momentum. Each positive thought builds on the last, creating a chain reaction that propels you forward. This momentum reduces hesitation and self-doubt, allowing you to act with greater decisiveness. The more aligned your thoughts, the more your energy concentrates on meaningful actions. Your days become more productive, your challenges more manageable, and your vision clearer. Your highest goals deserve your most powerful mental support. When you commit to choosing thoughts that reflect your values, your ambitions, and your truth, you unlock your mind's potential to serve you fully. You transform from someone tossed around by fleeting emotions and distractions into someone anchored by purpose and resilience. That transformation doesn't happen by chance. It happens because you choose it every moment, every thought, every day. You have the ability to shape your reality with your mind. It begins with thought choice. Guard this power carefully. Use it wisely. When your thoughts align with your highest goals, your life naturally follows that direction. You become unstoppable, not because you never face difficulty, but because your mind is tuned to see opportunity in every challenge. The clarity and focus that come from choosing your thoughts will guide you through uncertainty and keep you moving steadily toward the life you desire. This is your mind, your power, your future. Choose your thoughts well. Choose them with intention. Choose them to reflect the highest version of yourself. When you do this, you don't just think about success, you think your way to it. Chapter 12. Feed your mind with wisdom that fuels action. Feeding your mind is not just about absorbing information. It is about nourishing it with wisdom that sparks meaningful action. Knowledge without application is like fuel left unused. It has potential but no power. To truly own your mind, you must cultivate habits that not only enrich your understanding, but also ignite your drive to do. Wisdom is different from raw data. It is insight gained through experience, reflection, and deliberate practice. It is the kind of learning that shapes how you think, how you make decisions, and how you move forward. A mind that is hungry for growth will seek out wisdom relentlessly. It looks beyond quick fixes or empty motivation and demands substance. That substance often comes from reading thoughtfully, listening attentively, and reflecting deeply. But more importantly, it comes from questioning what you learn and testing it in your life. Feeding your mind with wisdom means choosing lessons that challenge your current thinking and push you to improve. It means turning knowledge into daily habits that build momentum and resilience. One of the biggest mistakes people make is consuming information passively. They read or listen, but do not act. This leads to frustration because learning alone does not create change. Real change happens when you apply what you learn consistently, even when it's difficult or uncomfortable. Wisdom fuels action because it clarifies what matters most and cuts through the noise of distraction. It gives you a clear sense of direction and the courage to pursue it despite obstacles. To feed your mind well, start by being selective about your sources. Not all information is equal. Some advice is shallow or misleading. Some ideas are outdated or irrelevant. Seek out voices that are grounded in experience, integrity, and practical results. These sources offer insights you can trust and apply in your daily life. Surround your mind with quality content that challenges you to think critically and act decisively. Be intentional about what you consume so your mental diet strengthens rather than weakens you. Reflection is key to turning wisdom into fuel. After learning something new, pause and ask how it fits with your goals and values. Consider what actions this insight calls for. How can you implement it tomorrow? What adjustments does it require in your mindset or routine? Reflection deepens understanding and prevents information overload. It transforms scattered facts into a coherent strategy. Without reflection, wisdom remains theoretical. With it, wisdom becomes the spark for meaningful progress. Action itself feeds your mind further. When you try something new based on what you learned, you gain first-hand experience. This experience refines your understanding and builds confidence. It also shows you what works and what doesn't. Each step you take creates a feedback loop between thought and reality. Your mind learns from success and failure alike, growing sharper and more adaptable. The cycle of learning, reflecting, and acting creates continuous improvement that shapes your character and future. Consistency is essential when feeding your mind with wisdom. 1 or 2 moments of insight are not enough. Growth requires daily commitment. Dedicate time every day to learning something valuable and thinking about how to apply it. This steady habit builds a reservoir of knowledge and skills that support your goals. It also conditions your mind to value growth and take initiative. The more consistent you are, the more natural it becomes to translate wisdom into action. Avoid distractions that fragment your attention or fill your mind with trivialities. Social media, endless news, or shallow entertainment can consume mental energy without providing lasting value. Protect your mental space by limiting exposure to content that does not support your growth. Instead, choose materials that inspire resilience, creativity, and focus. Your mind is a garden. Feed it nutrients that help it flourish, not with weeds that choke progress. Surrounding yourself with wise people also accelerates your growth. Conversations with mentors, peers, or role models who embody the principles you admire offer real-time wisdom and encouragement. These relationships create accountability and inspiration. Listening to stories of others' challenges and victories gives practical lessons you cannot get from books alone. Being around people who act on their wisdom encourages you to do the same. Community becomes a catalyst for turning knowledge into purposeful action. Journaling is a powerful tool to feed your mind with wisdom. Writing down your thoughts, lessons learned and action plans clarifies your thinking. It helps you process new ideas and track your progress. Journaling also reinforces commitment by making abstract goals concrete. When you revisit your journal, you remind yourself of your growth and the wisdom you've gained. This ongoing dialogue with yourself nurtures a mindset of reflection and purposeful living. Remember that feeding your mind is an ongoing process. Wisdom is not a destination, but a journey. You will constantly discover new insights and need to adapt your actions accordingly. Embrace this dynamic process with humility and curiosity. Celebrate the small wins along the way and learn from the setbacks without losing momentum. The more you invest in feeding your mind with wisdom that fuels action, the more empowered and capable you become in shaping your life. Your mind is the command center of your life. What you feed it determines your thoughts, emotions, and choices. When you nourish it with meaningful wisdom, you equip yourself with the tools needed to act decisively and persist through challenges. Every step forward, no matter how small, is a victory fueled by the knowledge and insight you've cultivated. This is the path to mastery over yourself and your destiny. Begin today by choosing one source of wisdom that resonates deeply with your goals. Read it carefully, think about how it applies to your current situation, and commit to one concrete action inspired by it. Repeat this daily, and over time you will build a powerful momentum that transforms your mind and your life. Feeding your mind with wisdom is not a passive hobby. It is an active commitment to becoming the person you were meant to be. When wisdom fuels action, your growth becomes inevitable. Your focus sharpens, your confidence rises, and your resilience strengthens. Challenges become opportunities for learning rather than reasons to quit. Your mind becomes a powerful ally instead of a noisy enemy. This transformation happens gradually. With each moment you choose to nourish your mind intentionally and then act boldly. It is the secret to sustained success and lasting fulfillment. Do not underestimate the impact of what you feed your mind. It shapes your worldview, your habits, and your results. Make every choice count by seeking wisdom that inspires action. Commit to turning insight into effort. Own this process fully and watch as your mind becomes the engine driving your best life. Chapter 13. Break automatic habits that no longer serve you. Habits shape the structure of your daily life far more than conscious decisions. Many habits operate beneath your awareness, running automatically without your direct input. This automaticity can be powerful when habits serve your growth and goals, but it becomes dangerous when they no longer serve you. Automatic habits that drain your energy, cloud your judgment, or keep you stuck in the past become invisible chains holding you back. Breaking these habits requires deliberate effort and insight. It means stepping out of autopilot and reclaiming control over your actions. The first step to breaking a habit that no longer serves you is recognizing it clearly. Often, these habits hide in plain sight because they feel so familiar and comfortable. They may be as simple as procrastinating, negative thinking, or reacting defensively. Sometimes they involve behaviors like mindless scrolling on a phone or seeking approval from others. Awareness means becoming curious about your daily routines and noticing which ones lead to frustration or stagnation. It means asking honest questions about whether your current actions align with your values and ambitions. Once you identify the habit, examine its triggers. Habits rarely appear out of nowhere. They are responses to specific situations, emotions, or environments. Maybe stress prompts you to seek distraction. Maybe boredom leads you to unproductive scrolling. Maybe criticism triggers defensiveness. Understanding these triggers reveals the underlying needs or fears driving the habit. This insight is crucial because it guides you to address the root cause rather than just suppress the surface behavior. Without this depth of understanding, breaking habits becomes a cycle of temporary fixes. Breaking automatic habits is a process, not a single event. Expect discomfort and resistance, because habits are deeply wired into your brain through repetition. Your mind prefers the familiar, even if it harms you. Change requires patience and persistence. One effective approach is to create intentional pauses before the habit triggers action. When you feel the urge to engage in the old habit, take a moment to breathe, reflect, and choose a different response. This pause interrupts the automatic loop and opens space for conscious decision-making. Replacing the old habit with a new, healthier one is essential. Simply trying to stop a habit without something constructive to fill the space often leads to relapse. The replacement habit should fulfill a similar need, but support your growth instead of holding you back. For example, if stress leads to unhealthy eating, replace that habit with a walk, deep breathing, or journaling. If boredom drives endless scrolling, replace it with reading or a hobby that engages your mind. The goal is to redirect your energy into actions that move you closer to your goals. Accountability helps in breaking automatic habits. Share your intention with a trusted friend, mentor, or coach who can encourage you and hold you responsible. Sometimes knowing someone else is aware of your commitment makes you more likely to follow through. Tracking your progress is also effective. Keep a journal or use an app to note when you successfully resist the habit and when you don't. This tracking builds awareness and provides motivation by showing improvement over time. Mindset plays a critical role in habit change. Approach the process with compassion rather than judgment. Everyone slips up. Perfection is not the goal. Progress is. When you catch yourself falling back into the old habit, acknowledge it without shame and recommit immediately. Negative self-talk only strengthens the habit by increasing stress and lowering confidence. Instead, affirm your ability to grow and remind yourself that change is a journey. This positive inner dialogue fuels resilience. Environmental changes support breaking automatic habits. Your surroundings often reinforce old behaviors through cues and temptations. If you tend to snack unhealthily when junk food is visible, remove it from your home. If you get distracted by your phone, create specific times or places where it is off limits. Changing your environment reduces triggers and makes the new habit easier to maintain. It sets the stage for success rather than constant struggle. Visualizing success can strengthen your commitment. Spend time imagining how your life improves once you break the habit. Picture yourself feeling freer, more focused, and more in control. Imagine the pride and confidence you will gain. Visualization creates emotional motivation by connecting your mind to the benefits of change. It primes your brain to seek those positive outcomes, making it easier to resist the pull of the old habit. Breaking automatic habits also requires regular reflection. Schedule moments to review your progress and challenges. Reflect on what strategies worked and where you struggled. Adjust your approach as needed. Celebrate the small victories to build momentum. This ongoing evaluation prevents discouragement and helps you refine your methods. The habit-breaking process is dynamic, and flexibility is essential. Recognize that some habits have deep emotional roots tied to past experiences or beliefs. These may require more time and support to overcome. If you notice a habit linked to trauma, fear, or low self-worth, consider seeking professional guidance. Therapy or coaching can provide tools to heal underlying wounds and create lasting change. Addressing the emotional core strengthens your foundation for growth and freedom. Breaking automatic habits creates space for intentional living. When you stop letting old patterns run your life, you gain clarity and energy to focus on what truly matters. You reclaim your mind from distractions and self-sabotage. This freedom opens the door to consistent progress toward your goals and a deeper sense of self-respect. Every habit you break is a victory for your independence and mental mastery. Ultimately, breaking habits that no longer serve you is an act of self-love and courage. It requires confronting discomfort and uncertainty with determination. It means choosing growth over comfort and freedom over familiarity. Each small step taken to disrupt automatic patterns strengthens your ability to direct your life consciously. This process transforms you from a passive passenger into the deliberate pilot of your mind and destiny. The path to breaking automatic habits is challenging, but deeply rewarding. It leads to increased self-awareness, greater control, and more aligned actions. As you replace unhelpful habits with empowering ones, your confidence grows. You learn that change is possible through persistent effort and self-compassion. This mastery over your automatic behaviors is a cornerstone of owning your mind and designing a life of purpose and fulfillment. Start now by identifying one habit that limits you. Observe its triggers without judgment. Create a plan to pause and choose a new response. Enlist support and track your progress. Reflect regularly and adjust as you learn. Commit to kindness with yourself throughout this journey. With steady focus and courage, you will break free from old chains and step into a life shaped by conscious choices and meaningful habits. Chapter 14. Think slowly before responding to pressure or conflict. Responding quickly to pressure or conflict often leads to regret and lost control. The mind's first instinct is to react immediately, fueled by emotions and adrenaline. But this reaction is usually impulsive and unhelpful. To own your mind, you must develop the habit of thinking slowly before you respond. This deliberate pause gives you space to assess the situation clearly, choose your words wisely, and act with intention. Slow thinking under pressure transforms chaotic moments into opportunities for growth and strength. When pressure mounts, your brain switches into survival mode. Emotions surge, and rational thought retreats. This natural response served humans well in dangerous situations, but in modern life, it often causes more harm than good. Rash words or actions can escalate conflicts, damage relationships, and cloud your judgment. Slow thinking breaks this automatic cycle by activating your prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain responsible for reasoning, planning, and self-control. This shift allows you to respond thoughtfully rather than react emotionally. Developing the habit of slow thinking starts with awareness. Notice your triggers and how your body reacts when pressure rises. You might feel your heart race, your breath quicken, or your muscles tense. These physical signals alert you that your mind is moving toward impulsive reaction. Use them as cues to pause. Take a deep breath and count to 3 slowly. This simple action interrupts the fight or flight response and invites calm. It creates a mental space where reflection can occur. Once you have paused, ask yourself key questions before responding. What is really happening here? What outcome do I want? How will my words or actions affect the situation and those involved? This moment of questioning helps you shift from emotional reaction to strategic response. It empowers you to choose responses that align with your values and goals. You gain control over your narrative instead of letting pressure dictate your behavior. Thinking slowly does not mean avoiding conflict or being passive. It means approaching conflict with clarity and purpose. When you slow down, you can listen more deeply to the other person's perspective. This listening builds empathy and reduces misunderstandings. It also allows you to identify common ground or areas where compromise is possible. Conflict handled thoughtfully can lead to stronger relationships and mutual respect rather than division. Patience is a vital ingredient in this process. It requires training your mind to tolerate discomfort and uncertainty without rushing to fix or defend. Many people feel the urge to respond quickly because they fear losing control or appearing weak, but true strength lies in restraint and calm. Choosing to think slowly before speaking shows maturity and confidence. It signals that you are in charge of your mind and emotions, rather than a victim of circumstance. Practicing slow thinking daily strengthens this skill. Start with low-stakes situations where pressure is mild. When faced with minor annoyances or interruptions, pause and consider your response. Over time, this practice builds mental muscle that carries over to more intense conflicts. The more often you choose thoughtful responses, the more natural it becomes. You shift reactive to proactive communication, which improves every area of your life. Remember that thinking slowly also includes being mindful of your internal dialogue. Negative self-talk or assumptions about others can fuel emotional reactions. When you catch yourself jumping to conclusions or labeling someone unfairly, pause and reconsider. Challenge those thoughts by seeking evidence and alternative explanations. This mental check prevents you from escalating conflicts unnecessarily and keeps your mind balanced. In situations of high pressure, having a few calming techniques at hand is helpful. Deep breathing, grounding exercises, or a brief mental retreat can restore composure quickly. Visualizing a peaceful place or repeating a calming phrase silently can also steady your mind. These tools enhance your ability to maintain slow thinking even when emotions run high. They remind your mind that you are in control of your reactions. Slow thinking before responding builds trust and respect from others. People sense when you respond thoughtfully rather than impulsively. It creates a space where honest dialogue can happen without fear of harsh judgment or escalation. This trust strengthens relationships personally and professionally. It also sets an example for others to manage their emotions and reactions more effectively. Overcoming the habit of quick reactive responses is challenging, but rewarding. It involves rewiring your brain to favor reflection over impulse. This change does not happen overnight. Be patient with yourself when you slip back into old patterns. Each time you choose to pause and think slowly, you reinforce new neural pathways that support better decision-making. Gradually, slow thinking becomes your default mode even under pressure. Clear communication is a natural outcome of slow thinking. When you take time to process your thoughts, your words become clearer and more impactful. You avoid misunderstandings caused by hasty or incomplete expressions. Your message aligns with your true intentions and values. This clarity reduces conflict and increases your influence in conversations and negotiations. Thinking slowly before responding also protects your mental and emotional energy. Reacting impulsively often drains you, leaving you exhausted or regretful. Thoughtful responses conserve energy by focusing it on solutions rather than drama. This conservation builds resilience, helping you face future pressures with greater calm and confidence. Embracing slow thinking requires a mindset shift. It means valuing wisdom over speed, patience over urgency, and reflection over reaction. It calls for humility to accept that immediate answers are not always the best answers. It invites curiosity to explore situations deeply, rather than jumping to conclusions. This mindset empowers you to lead your mind, rather than be led by fleeting emotions. Your mind is your most powerful tool. How you use it under pressure defines your character and your path. Choosing to think slowly before responding is an act of mastery. It separates you from those who allow stress and conflict to control them. It frees you to act with intention, integrity, and courage even in difficult moments. This practice is not just about avoiding mistakes, it is about creating space for your best self to emerge. Every interaction becomes an opportunity to practice this skill. Whether in conversations with loved ones, colleagues, or strangers, slow thinking enhances your presence and effectiveness. It allows you to respond to challenges thoughtfully and maintain peace in your mind. This peace is the foundation for making clear decisions and taking confident action. Start now by observing moments when you feel pressure rising. Use your breath and counting as a simple pause technique. Reflect briefly on your goals for the interaction and the best possible outcome. Speak only when you have gathered your thoughts and emotions. Practice this regularly, and soon you will notice a shift in how you handle pressure and conflict. Your mind will become a steady force rather than a reactive whirlwind. This habit of slow thinking before responding builds over time into a natural way of being. It enhances your relationships, your decision-making, and your self-control. It creates space for wisdom to guide your actions rather than impulsiveness. Owning your mind means embracing this discipline and making it a cornerstone of your daily life. With patience and persistence, you will transform pressure and conflict from sources of stress into opportunities for growth and connection. Chapter 15. Observe your thoughts without judging or escaping them. Observing your thoughts without judgment or escape is a fundamental practice that builds mastery over your mind. The mind is constantly active, producing a stream of ideas, emotions, and memories. Many of these mental events trigger reactions, sometimes positive, sometimes negative, but the key to owning your mind is to learn how to watch this internal flow with calm attention, without labeling thoughts as good or bad, and without trying to run away from uncomfortable feelings. This kind of observation strengthens your mental clarity and emotional balance, freeing you from impulsive responses and inner turmoil. Most people either get lost in their thoughts or try to push them away when they become unpleasant. Getting lost means identifying so closely with the thought that it feels like reality itself. Pushing thoughts away creates tension because it requires constant effort to avoid parts of your experience. Both reactions drain mental energy and reduce your ability to focus on what truly matters. Instead, stepping back and observing your thoughts as if you were watching clouds pass across the sky creates a healthy distance. This distance lets you understand your mind without becoming controlled by it. Learning to observe your thoughts starts with mindfulness, which simply means paying attention to the present moment. It involves noticing what's happening inside you, the thoughts, emotions, and physical sensations, without trying to change or judge them. When a thought arises, notice its content, tone, and how it makes you feel. Instead of reacting with fear, anger, or frustration, just acknowledge the thought quietly. There is a thought about failure, or there is a feeling of anxiety. Naming the experience grounds you in awareness, rather than entanglement. This practice might feel strange or uncomfortable at first, because you are used to reacting automatically. It may bring up thoughts you have avoided or judged harshly. But facing your inner experience openly is the beginning of freedom. Observing thoughts without judgment means you accept whatever arises as part of being human. You stop fighting with your mind and start cooperating with it. This acceptance reduces inner conflict and creates space for healing and growth. Another benefit of this observation is increased insight. By watching your thoughts without judgment, you begin to notice patterns. You may realize that certain worries repeat, or that some beliefs limit your potential. Recognizing these patterns is essential because it allows you to question their validity rather than blindly follow them. This questioning leads to wiser choices about which thoughts to trust and which to release. Not escaping your thoughts also builds emotional resilience. Difficult emotions often trigger avoidance behaviors, distraction, denial, or numbing. These strategies provide short-term relief, but keep you trapped in cycles of stress. When you learn to stay present with uncomfortable feelings without running away, their intensity decreases over time. You realize that feelings come and go like waves, and you don't have to be overwhelmed by them. This calm presence empowers you to respond thoughtfully rather than react impulsively. The physical body plays an important role in this process. Thoughts and emotions manifest as bodily sensations: tightness in the chest, tension in the shoulders, a knot in the stomach. Paying attention to these sensations deepens your observation practice. Instead of getting caught up in mental stories, you bring awareness to the physical experience. This embodiment anchors you in reality and calms the nervous system. You become less identified with your thoughts and more rooted in your true self. Regular practice strengthens your ability to observe thoughts clearly. Start by setting aside a few minutes each day for quiet reflection or meditation. Sit comfortably and focus on your breath. When thoughts arise, acknowledge them without judgment and gently return your attention to your breathing. Over time, this builds your capacity to notice thoughts throughout the day without being swept away by them. The habit of mindful observation becomes natural and effortless. In daily life, you can observe thoughts during moments of stress or decision-making. When a strong reaction arises, pause and notice the thoughts fueling it. Ask yourself what judgments or assumptions are involved. Are you attaching a negative label? Are you predicting a worst-case scenario? Simply bringing awareness to these mental processes weakens their grip and creates choice. You can then decide whether to act on these thoughts or let them pass. This practice also improves your focus and mental clarity. When you stop judging and escaping thoughts, you reduce mental noise and distraction. Your mind becomes quieter and more present. This clarity enhances your ability to concentrate on important tasks and make better decisions. You become less reactive to external circumstances and more anchored in your values and goals. A crucial part of this practice is compassion toward yourself. Observing thoughts without judgment does not mean ignoring self-criticism or difficult emotions. It means noticing these experiences with kindness and understanding. Treat yourself as you would a good friend, patient, supportive, and non-judgmental. This compassion softens inner resistance and creates a safe inner environment for transformation. Avoiding judgment also means releasing the need to control or fix every thought. Some thoughts are simply noise or fleeting mental activity with no real importance. Trying to force your mind to be positive all the time leads to frustration and denial of reality. Instead, allow your mind to be what it is and observe with curiosity. This openness fosters mental flexibility and creativity, allowing new insights and solutions to emerge naturally. Observing thoughts without escape cultivates emotional freedom. When you are not controlled by every thought or feeling, you experience peace even in difficult circumstances. This inner calm is not dependent on external events, but arises from your relationship with your mind. You become the observer rather than the victim of mental turbulence. This perspective shift empowers you to choose your responses and create the life you want. Your thoughts do not define you. They are temporary mental events passing through your awareness. Observing them without judgment or escape reveals this truth deeply. You discover that beneath the constant chatter lies a still, peaceful awareness. Connecting with this awareness strengthens your mental resilience and emotional balance. It allows you to face challenges with clarity and courage. This practice builds over time into a powerful habit of self-mastery. The more you observe your thoughts calmly, the less you identify with negativity and distraction. You develop greater mental freedom and emotional strength. You stop being a prisoner of automatic reactions and become the intentional architect of your life. This shift is essential to owning your own mind. Begin today by paying attention to your thoughts as they arise. Notice them without trying to change or avoid them. Label them if that helps, and bring your attention back to the present moment. Practice this regularly and patiently. Each moment of mindful observation is a step toward greater freedom, clarity, and peace. Your mind is your most valuable asset. Treat it with the respect and care it deserves by watching it with gentle, non-judgmental awareness. Through this simple yet profound practice, you unlock the door to deeper self-understanding and lasting transformation. The power to observe your thoughts without judgment or escape is the foundation of true mental mastery. Embrace this practice as a daily habit, and you will find your mind becoming clearer, calmer, and more in your control. This is the path to owning your own mind fully and living with purpose and freedom. Chapter 16. Rewire your mindset through consistent small improvements. Changing the way you think is not about making giant leaps overnight, but about small, consistent steps. Every day, your mindset is like a muscle shaped by repeated thoughts and actions. When you focus on tiny improvements regularly, you gradually rewire your brain to support positive growth and resilience. This slow and steady approach builds lasting mental strength and opens the door to new possibilities. By committing to daily progress, no matter how small, you transform your mindset and ultimately your life. Every thought you repeat strengthens neural pathways in your brain. When you constantly dwell on doubts, fears, or limitations, your mind reinforces these patterns. But when you intentionally replace negative or unhelpful thoughts with empowering ones, you build new, stronger connections. These new pathways guide you toward better habits, greater confidence, and clearer focus. Rewiring your mindset through small improvements takes patience, but it produces profound and lasting change. Tracking your progress supports consistency and motivation. Keep a journal, checklist, or app to note your small wins each day. Reflect on how these changes affect your mood, energy, and actions. Seeing your growth written down builds confidence and encourages you to keep going. Tracking also helps you spot setbacks or obstacles early, so you can adjust your approach as needed. This feedback loop accelerates your mindset shift. Start by identifying one small area where you want to improve your thinking. It could be reducing self-criticism, increasing gratitude, or building confidence. Choose something specific and manageable so you can track your progress clearly. For example, decide to notice and challenge one negative thought each day, or write down one positive thing about yourself each morning. This focus on a single change prevents overwhelm and increases your chances of success. Consistency is the key to rewiring your mindset. Daily repetition of small improvements creates momentum and strengthens new mental habits. Even on days when motivation is low, following through with your chosen practice reinforces your commitment. This dedication rewires your brain by creating new default responses. Over time, these responses become automatic, gradually replacing old limiting patterns. This transformation leads to greater mental freedom and resilience. Patience is vital during this process. The brain does not rewire instantly, and setbacks are normal. Avoid frustration or discouragement if progress seems slow. Instead, remind yourself that lasting change is a marathon, not a sprint. Each small improvement builds cumulative strength that becomes visible over weeks and months. Celebrate your perseverance as a sign of true commitment to personal growth. Pair small mental improvements with related actions to maximize impact. For instance, if you aim to think more positively, complement this with actions like smiling more, practicing kindness, or celebrating small successes. When your thoughts and behaviors align, they reinforce each other and create a powerful upward spiral. This synergy accelerates mindset change and helps you embody your new way of thinking fully. Embrace curiosity and experimentation as you develop new mental habits. Notice which small improvements bring the most benefit and which need adjustment. Be willing to try different techniques, such as affirmations, journaling, or mindfulness exercises. This exploration keeps the process engaging and tailored to your unique needs. Flexibility helps you find the most effective ways to rewire your mindset sustainably. Surround yourself with supportive influences that encourage your growth. Engage with books, podcasts, or communities that share positive mindsets and practical advice. Positive environments provide inspiration and accountability, making it easier to maintain your daily improvements. Limit exposure to negative or distracting inputs that undermine your progress. This intentional environment shapes your thinking as much as your habits do. Recognize that small, consistent improvements also build emotional resilience. As you shift your mindset toward positivity and growth, you become better equipped to handle challenges. Your new mental habits provide tools to manage stress, overcome setbacks, and stay motivated. This resilience protects your progress and fuels ongoing development. Each small step strengthens your capacity to navigate life's ups and downs with grace. Visualization complements your daily efforts. Spend a few moments imagining yourself fully embodying your improved mindset. Picture how you respond calmly to difficulties, speak kindly to yourself, and stay focused on your goals. Visualization activates your brain's pathways for success and primes your mind to act accordingly. This mental rehearsal boosts confidence and reinforces the small improvements you are making. Rewiring your mindset requires a mindset of growth itself. Believe that you can change and improve through effort and learning. Reject fixed beliefs that your personality or intelligence are set in stone. This growth mindset fuels your willingness to try new approaches and persist through difficulties. It transforms challenges into opportunities for learning rather than obstacles. The ripple effect of rewiring your mindset goes beyond your thoughts. As your mental habits change, your emotions, behaviors, and relationships improve. You communicate more effectively, set healthier boundaries, and pursue your goals with clarity. This transformation creates a positive cycle that elevates all aspects of your life. Consistent small improvements become the foundation of this powerful upward movement. Use failures and setbacks as valuable feedback rather than reasons to quit. When you face difficulty, analyze what happened without judgment. Identify lessons and adjust your small improvement strategies accordingly. This reflective attitude deepens your self-awareness and accelerates your progress. Each challenge becomes a stepping stone rather than a roadblock. Celebrate incremental growth to build motivation and joy. Acknowledge even the smallest shifts in your thinking and attitude. This recognition reinforces the value of your efforts and keeps your energy high. Gratitude for progress builds optimism and encourages you to continue. Small wins accumulate into significant transformation when celebrated consistently. Create rituals around your mindset practice to anchor it into your daily life. Choose consistent times and places for your small improvements, such as journaling every morning or practicing affirmations before bed. These rituals create predictability and habit strength, making it easier to maintain momentum. Over time, your mindset practice becomes an integral and natural part of your routine. Keep in mind that mindset rewiring is a lifelong journey. Even after achieving significant improvements, continue practicing daily small steps to maintain and deepen your growth. The mind is constantly evolving, and consistent care is needed to nurture its health and strength. This commitment to ongoing improvement becomes a defining characteristic of a life owned fully and intentionally. Take the first step today by selecting one small thought or behavior to improve. Focus on it with dedication and patience. Track your progress and adjust as you learn. Combine your mental efforts with related actions for maximum effect. Surround yourself with positive influences and use visualization to support your goals. Remember that every tiny improvement rewires your brain toward greater freedom and strength. In time, these small, consistent improvements accumulate into profound mental shifts. Your mindset becomes clearer, stronger, and more aligned with your highest values. You gain control over your thoughts and emotions rather than being controlled by them. This mastery empowers you to navigate life's challenges with confidence and purpose. Rewiring your mindset through daily small improvements is one of the most effective paths to owning your own mind and living a fulfilled life. Chapter 17. Speak to yourself with bold, unwavering confidence. Self-talk often happens automatically without conscious effort. Many people have a critical internal voice that points out flaws, doubts, abilities, or predicts failure. This harsh inner commentary limits potential and fosters fear and hesitation. To own your mind, it's essential to replace this limiting dialogue with confident, affirming language. Bold self-talk lifts you up instead of tearing you down, enabling you to face challenges with strength and clarity. Confidence in your inner speech begins with awareness. Pay attention to the messages you tell yourself throughout the day. Notice moments when your thoughts become negative, uncertain, or self-defeating. Catch phrases like, "I can't do this," "I'm not good enough," or "this will never work." Recognizing these patterns is the first step toward changing them. You cannot transform what you do not see clearly. The way you speak to yourself shapes your reality more than any external influence. Every word you say internally builds or breaks your confidence, determines your resilience, and guides your actions. Speaking with bold, unwavering confidence is not about arrogance or pretending to be someone you're not. It is about acknowledging your worth, trusting your abilities, and reinforcing a mindset that supports your growth and success. The voice inside you is the most powerful tool you have to own your mind and create the life you desire. Once you become aware of negative self-talk, choose to challenge it actively. Ask yourself if the thought is true, helpful, or fair. Often these harsh judgments are exaggerations or assumptions disconnected from reality. Replace them with truthful, empowering statements. Instead of "I'm not capable," say, "I am learning and improving every day." Instead of "I will fail," affirm "I am prepared and ready to succeed." This honest but positive language rewires your thinking toward confidence. Speaking to yourself with boldness requires commitment and repetition. Your mind is like a garden that grows whatever seeds you plant regularly. Plant seeds of encouragement, belief, and self-respect daily through your words. Use affirmations, journal entries, or spoken reminders that reflect your strengths and values. Consistent reinforcement creates a strong mental foundation that supports you in difficult times. Bold confidence also means speaking to yourself with clarity and decisiveness. Avoid vague or wishy-washy language that undermines your intentions. Say, "I will do this" instead of "I hope to do this." Commit your words with certainty and conviction. This clarity directs your focus and motivates action. When you speak confidently internally, your brain prepares your body to act accordingly, building momentum toward your goals. Bold self-talk also involves setting clear mental intentions. Speak your goals and values aloud in your mind with strength. For example, I choose patience and persistence, or I am capable of overcoming obstacles. These declarations align your thoughts and emotions with your desired outcomes. Repeating them daily imprints your intentions on your subconscious mind, guiding your behavior naturally. Tone matters in your inner speech. Use a kind but firm voice that commands respect and encouragement. Imagine how you would speak to a close friend or mentee who is facing challenges. Would you yell or belittle them, or would you offer supportive, motivating words with conviction? Treat yourself with the same bold kindness and you cultivate a nurturing inner environment for growth. Authenticity is critical in your self-talk. Confidence is not about pretending to be perfect or fearless. It is about embracing your true self with all strengths and weaknesses. Speak to yourself honestly about areas where you need growth, while affirming your inherent value and potential. This balance creates a grounded confidence rooted in reality rather than fantasy. You become your own reliable ally instead of a harsh critic. Practice speaking boldly to yourself in moments of doubt or stress. When fear or hesitation arises, counter it immediately with a strong statement of belief. For example, I am strong enough to handle this, or I trust my judgment. This practice interrupts negative spirals and restores your confidence quickly. Over time, your mind learns to default to boldness rather than fear. Your environment influences your inner speech as well. Surround yourself with people and resources that support your confidence. Listen to inspiring talks, read motivational books, and engage with encouraging communities. Avoid sources that fuel doubt or negativity. This positive input nourishes your mind and reinforces your bold self-talk. Visualization enhances bold self-talk. Imagine yourself acting confidently, succeeding, and handling difficulties with ease. Picture your inner voice speaking firmly and clearly. This mental rehearsal activates neural pathways that support confident behavior in real situations. Visualizing your confident self regularly strengthens your ability to embody this mindset in daily life. Bold self-talk creates a ripple effect beyond your thoughts. It influences your posture, tone of voice, and actions. When you speak confidently internally, your body language follows. You stand taller, speak clearer, and approach challenges with determination. This alignment between mind and body magnifies your personal power and effectiveness. Consistency is essential for lasting change. Bold self-talk must become a daily habit to transform your mindset permanently. Start by dedicating moments each day to speak affirmations or encouraging statements aloud or silently. Make it part of your morning routine, exercise, or quiet reflection. The more you practice, the more natural and automatic it becomes. This practice also builds resilience. Life inevitably brings setbacks and criticism, but a confident inner voice helps you bounce back quickly. You view failures as lessons rather than reflections of your worth. Your bold self-talk provides the strength to keep going when external circumstances are difficult. It anchors you in your values and purpose. Your inner voice is the most consistent companion you have. Make it a source of strength, encouragement, and unwavering confidence. Speak to yourself boldly every day and watch how your mindset, behavior, and life shift toward your highest potential. This commitment to confident self-talk is a cornerstone of owning your own mind and living boldly with purpose and power. Avoid comparing your progress to others. Confidence grows uniquely for each person. Focus on your own journey and celebrate your improvements. Speak to yourself with pride for the efforts you make and the growth you achieve. This internal encouragement fuels motivation and deepens your ownership of your mind. Remember that bold confidence in self-talk does not mean ignoring challenges or pretending to have all answers. It means trusting yourself enough to face uncertainty with courage. It means affirming your ability to learn, adapt, and grow. This mindset transforms fear into opportunity and doubt into action. Chapter 18. Stop comparing and start measuring your own growth. Comparing yourself to others is one of the fastest ways to undermine your confidence and derail your progress. It creates unnecessary pressure, steals your focus, and fosters feelings of inadequacy. Growth is personal and unique to your journey. When you stop comparing and begin measuring your own growth, you reclaim control over your mindset and empower yourself to pursue true improvement. Measuring growth based on your past self instead of others allows you to appreciate progress, stay motivated, and build resilience through honest self-reflection. The habit of comparison often arises unconsciously. Social media, conversations, and daily encounters feed a constant stream of benchmarks that tempt you to evaluate yourself against others. This habit, while common, traps you in a cycle of dissatisfaction because there will always be someone who appears more successful, talented, or fortunate. Instead of viewing these comparisons as facts, recognize them as distractions from your own path. Your energy is best spent focusing on your unique capabilities and progress. Focusing on your own growth, rather than comparison, cultivates gratitude. When you see how far you've come, you naturally feel more appreciation for your efforts and abilities. Gratitude reduces anxiety about the future and regret about the past. It anchors you in the present moment, making progress feel meaningful and rewarding. This positive emotional state fuels motivation and resilience, sustaining your growth journey. Tracking small improvements over time builds an accurate picture of growth. Keep a journal or use an app to record daily or weekly reflections on your progress. Note successes and challenges with honesty and without judgment. This practice not only highlights achievements, but also reveals patterns and obstacles you can address. Measuring growth in this way turns abstract goals into concrete steps and fosters a mindset of continual development. Measuring your growth requires a shift in perspective from external validation to internal reflection. Begin by identifying specific areas of your life where you want to grow, whether skills, habits, emotional intelligence, or physical health. Set clear personal benchmarks that reflect your values and aspirations rather than societal standards. For example, if you want to improve patience, notice whether you handle difficult situations better today than last month. This personalized measurement grounds your progress in your reality. Growth measurement also encourages realistic goal setting. When you understand your current level and progress, you can set achievable and challenging targets that push you without overwhelming you. Realistic goals maintain momentum by providing clear direction and a sense of accomplishment. They prevent burnout and discouragement that often come from unrealistic comparisons or expectations. Comparisons often trigger negative emotions like envy, frustration, or shame. These feelings cloud your judgment and decrease your mental clarity. By choosing to measure your growth internally, you reduce these harmful emotions and replace them with self-compassion and encouragement. This emotional shift creates a safe and nurturing inner environment where growth flourishes. Celebrate incremental growth as a powerful motivator. Recognize even the smallest improvements and give yourself credit for the effort invested. This acknowledgement reinforces positive behavior and deepens your commitment to change. Celebration also strengthens your belief in your ability to grow, which is crucial for sustaining long-term progress. Shifting focus to your growth enhances your self-awareness. You become more attuned to your strengths, weaknesses, and patterns. This insight allows you to make informed choices about your development and avoid repeating unproductive habits. Self-awareness fosters autonomy and ownership of your mind by highlighting areas that need attention without harsh judgment. Avoid measuring growth only by external achievements such as promotions, awards, or possessions. While these can be indicators of progress, they are incomplete measures of personal development. Growth encompasses emotional maturity, resilience, mindset shifts, and character building, which may not be immediately visible but profoundly impact your life quality. Prioritize these internal changes as essential markers of growth. Practice patience with yourself. Growth is a gradual process with ups and downs. Avoid rushing or forcing progress based on comparisons. When setbacks occur, remind yourself that they are natural and part of learning. Measuring your growth allows you to see setbacks as temporary and specific rather than permanent failures. This perspective sustains hope and perseverance. Use setbacks and mistakes as opportunities to learn rather than reasons to compare negatively. Reflect on what each experience teaches you about yourself and your process. Adjust your approach accordingly and keep moving forward. This mindset transforms obstacles into stepping stones and deepens your growth experience. Establish a regular practice of self-assessment. Set aside time weekly or monthly to review your growth records and reflect on your journey. Ask yourself honest questions. How have I improved? What challenges remain? What habits support my growth? This reflective routine sharpens your focus and renews your commitment to your path. Seek feedback from trusted mentors or peers who understand your goals and values. Constructive feedback provides external perspectives that support your self-measurement. Choose feedback that is specific, actionable, and encouraging. Avoid feedback that triggers comparison or judgment. Integrating thoughtful feedback enhances your self-awareness and growth accuracy. Cultivate a growth mindset by embracing the belief that abilities and intelligence develop through effort. This mindset supports your internal measurement by framing growth as a dynamic, ongoing process. It reduces fear of failure and increases willingness to try new approaches. Growth mindset strengthens your resilience and curiosity. Practice kindness and self-compassion in your self-assessment. Avoid harsh criticism or unrealistic standards. Treat yourself as you would a good friend who is striving to improve. This compassionate attitude nurtures mental health and sustains motivation. Limit exposure to environments or media that encourage harmful comparisons. Surround yourself with positive influences that celebrate diversity and success and encourage personal growth. This intentional environment protects your mindset and fuels your commitment to your unique journey. Maintain flexibility and openness to change your growth measures as you evolve. Your priorities and values may shift, and your measurement criteria should reflect that. Adapting your approach ensures that your growth tracking remains relevant and motivating. Remember that growth is multidimensional and nonlinear. Progress may be rapid in some areas and slow in others. Accepting this variability prevents frustration and promotes balanced development. Appreciate the complexity of your journey and honor all aspects of your growth. Focus on actionable steps rather than abstract ideals. Measuring growth by specific behaviors or skills makes progress tangible and manageable. This focus guides your daily actions and enhances your sense of control. Ultimately, shifting from comparison to self-measurement empowers you to take full responsibility for your mental and emotional development. You break free from external pressures and cultivate an inner compass, guiding your unique path. This freedom anchors you in authenticity and purpose. Use your growth measurements to inspire others rather than compare competitively. Sharing your progress with supportive communities fosters connection and mutual encouragement. This collective growth mindset strengthens individual and group resilience. Recognize the power of your mindset in interpreting growth. Choose to view yourself as capable and worthy of improvement. This positive interpretation influences your motivation and outcomes more than external circumstances. Begin today by identifying one area to measure honestly against your past self. Record small wins and reflect regularly. Celebrate your growth and adjust your goals thoughtfully. This practice deepens your ownership of your mind and your life. By consistently stopping comparison and focusing on measuring your own growth, you build confidence, resilience, and clarity. You transform your mindset from one of scarcity and judgment to one of abundance and self-compassion. This transformation is essential to owning your own mind and living a fulfilled, empowered life. Chapter 19. Use solitude daily to listen to your inner voice. Silence is not emptiness but a space where your deepest thoughts can emerge clearly. In the midst of daily noise, distractions, and demands, it's easy to lose touch with your inner voice, the quiet guidance that reflects your true values, desires, and wisdom. Making solitude a daily practice creates the opportunity to reconnect with this voice. When you consistently carve out time for stillness, you build a habit that nurtures self-awareness, clarity, and inner strength. Listening to your inner voice is one of the most profound ways to own your mind and guide your life authentically. Many people avoid solitude because it can feel uncomfortable or expose inner fears and doubts. Yet, this discomfort signals the importance of this practice. Facing silence allows you to sit with yourself without external distractions, enabling you to notice thoughts and feelings that often go unacknowledged. This honest presence to your inner world deepens your understanding of who you are beyond social roles, achievements, or external validation. Regular solitude sharpens your ability to differentiate between your inner voice and external noise. The world offers countless opinions, pressures, and influences that cloud judgment. Without intentional quiet time, it's difficult to discern which thoughts truly belong to you and which are borrowed or reactive. Solitude acts like a filter, clearing away mental clutter so you can hear your authentic self. This clarity empowers you to make decisions aligned with your deepest truths.